They weren't cops. They were criminals in uniforms smashing my front door with crowbars while my HOA president stood on the lawn pretending to be the neighborhood hero. Wood splintered everywhere, my walls shook, and my neighbors watched like it was some reality show. That's how my ordinary morning turned into a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. My name's Marcus Thompson. I'm 39. I run a small electrical contracting business, and I thought inheriting my grandfather's house in Oakmont Ridge was the best thing that ever happened to me. White picket fences, a quiet neighborhood, my wife Diana setting up her bookkeeping office in the spare room. It should have been simple. But the day Patricia Williams laid eyes on me, it was over. She'd been HOA president for just 6 months, but already had a reputation for running families out. And when she saw me, it was like she'd found her next target. At first, it was petty. My work truck parked too close to the curb, a $500 fine slapped on my door like I was some delinquent. Then came her son Brad. He was only 25, but when he walked up my driveway, I swear my heart stopped. He moved like me, talked like me, tilted his head the same damn way I do when I'm thinking. It was like watching a ghost of my younger self, except he was there to tear me apart. The kid didn't show up with a phone camera. No, he had professional gear. Measuring tape inspection forms photographs laid out like police evidence. And every time he spoke, it wasn't just HOA rules. He knew about electrical circuits load calculations, the kind of knowledge you don't pick up unless you've lived my trade. I couldn't figure him out, and it rattled me. Meanwhile, Diana, my wife, my supposed calm center, was acting strange. Phone calls late at night using words no bookkeeper should ever say. Surveillance target. Evasive protocol. When I confronted her, she brushed me off with a smile and said it was just a complicated tax client. I wanted to believe her, but the way she snapped defensive cold didn't feel like her at all. Then Patricia upped her game. She called a community safety meeting, plastered my face on slides like I was the devil himself. Claimed my business brought unsavory elements into the neighborhood. Neighbors I'd shared beers with started crossing the street to avoid me. I sat there burning inside, wondering how this woman had turned my life into a public trial. I tried to fight back the logical way. I looked into the families who'd been pushed out before me. And what I found, it made my stomach turn. Every one of them owned corner lots, land with hidden value. I dug deeper, found paperwork linking Patricia's maiden name Morrison to a geological survey company. Morrison Consulting. They'd been quietly mapping properties, discovering resources like water rights and gas deposits, then forcing people out through the HOA. This wasn't petty power, it was organized theft. I should have felt vindicated, but instead I felt crushed. Because right when I thought I had it figured out, I overheard Patricia whispering to Brad about adoption papers, DNA tests, and my name. The truth hit me like a freight train. Brad wasn't her biological son. He was mine. A kid from a relationship I'd had at 19 with a girl named Janet Morrison. She disappeared from my life before I even knew she was pregnant, and Patricia raised him as her own. Imagine realizing the person destroying your life is your own flesh and blood. I sat in my kitchen staring at the walls, wondering if maybe I deserved this. Maybe Patricia was right. Maybe I was the deadbeat who abandoned a kid. For a moment, I wanted to give up. Sell the house, walk away, let them win. Because how do you fight back when your enemy is also your son? But then I looked at the evidence scattered across my desk. The pattern of stolen homes, the millions of dollars the families torn apart. And I thought if I let Patricia win, Brad would never know the truth. He'd grow up thinking lies were loyalty. I couldn't let that happen. That's when Diana's double life came crashing down. One night, I overheard her on the phone, urgent and panicked, operation compromised. Armed imposters en route. 20 minutes. She froze when she saw me, then finally admitted everything. She wasn't a bookkeeper. She was FBI Financial Crimes Division. She'd married me as a part of an undercover assignment to expose Patricia's network. My whole marriage, the intimacy, the trust, it had started as a job. I can't explain the kind of betrayal I felt in that moment. My wife wasn't who I thought she was. My son had been raised to hate me, and my home was about to be stolen at gunpoint. But there wasn't time to fall apart, because the fake raid was already at my door. The men stormed in like professionals. Real guns, real tactics, fake warrants. They planted bags of drugs in my workshop, stolen electronics, and my garage weapons under my bed. My neighbors filmed every second thinking I was being taken down by the feds. Patricia was outside smiling like she'd won the war, and honestly, for a second, I thought maybe she had. Then Brad cracked. They ordered him to help find the planted evidence, but instead he pulled out the recording device the FBI had given him. His voice shook, but he said it anyway. "Everything you've done has been recorded." The whole room froze. The fake agents cursed, Patricia screamed, and in that split second Diana made her move. She slammed her badge on the table, her voice sharp as a blade. "Federal Bureau of Investigation. You're all under arrest." And then it was chaos. Real FBI agents poured in from unmarked vans, empty houses, even underground posts. Guns, drawn commands, shouted, bodies hitting the ground. My living room turned into a battlefield of flashing lights and tactical vests. Patricia was dragged out kicking and screaming, her mask of control finally shattered. She ranted about loyalty, about betrayal, about how I'd stolen her husband's legacy. And then, in front of cameras, she lunged at Brad with a concealed knife. Even cuffed, she tried to stab him. The FBI tackled her to the pavement, and the neighbors who once looked at me like a criminal watched their beloved HOA president lose her mind on live TV. That was the end. Patricia Williams' mastermind of a property theft ring spanning 15 states responsible for $38 million in fraud was finally finished. My house was wrecked. My reputation scarred, my marriage built on lies. But justice had crashed through the door harder than any crowbar. And standing there watching her hauled into a federal van, I realized one thing. The truth always claws its way to the surface no matter how deep someone tries to bury it.